Podcast Network.
How this works. I check out a flick, give you my candid reaction outside the theater, drive home, and cut a deeper review. Today, The Suicide Squad. Let's go.
I just got done watching The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. Worst naming convention ever. We had Suicide Squad, and now we have The Suicide Squad. But hey, this is a much superior film to that original Suicide Squad. That original Suicide Squad had a lot of things going for it. It was fun to watch. It definitely had things in it with tons of potential. But it was edited to shit, and quite frankly, it was a mess of a movie, though I did enjoy it. This film, on the other hand, has really good pacing, is well edited. It's well shot. It's a James Gunn movie, so it is batshit crazy. And in the midst of all the batshit crazy, a giant kaiju arrives. And this isn't a spoiler. It's in the trailers. The marketing for this film is spot on. You get exactly what it is they're advertising to you. You're going to get a fun ride with lots of violence, highly stylized. It is very much a comic book brought to life. Is this film what folk are saying, that it is top 3 comic book fare? I don't think it's top 3. This film is not top 3 all-time comic book. Is it the best DC has put out? I've heard some say that. I don't think it's the best that DC has put out. However, on both counts, this is top tier. This is top tier comic book fare. This is top tier DC. It doesn't need to be the best. This script isn't going to win an Oscar. It is engaging. It does have some plot points that are interesting. Some of it is formulaic, but that's not why you come to see The Suicide Squad. You come to see it because you want to spend some time with engaging characters, interesting characters, and see how their banter and dynamic pulls them through in an entertaining fashion so that they can overcome this massive challenge that they have no real business addressing. They address things that you probably should get Superman to do, but Superman doesn't work for the government. These guys do, though forcibly. It's a lot of fun. It's great. On the big screen, for sure. If you're able to get out to a theater and see this, see it on the big screen. You can watch it on HBO Max, and if that's the only way you can see it, by all means, go for it. But if you can get out to a theater, support the film. Let DC know this is the way we like it. That's about it. I'm going to go ahead, go on home, cut a deeper review. Let's get into the particulars of The Suicide Squad.
James Gunn has once again created what he is so good at composing. This is an eclectic ensemble picture loaded with emotional touchstones and bonkers over-the-top action spectacles, which are well shot and choreographed as to lend this fantastical world a measure of verisimilitude. James Gunn wrote and directed The Suicide Squad with a style and wit that only he can deliver. Gunn is an auteur creator, and this film, it has his signature written large across every frame. This film has so many characters, yet it doesn't feel oversaturated or spread thin. A balancing act I couldn't duplicate should I take the time to dive into each player here. For this reason, I will focus on those that most directly drive the story and the dynamics at play. I will speak of their relevance to the tale without giving away direct spoilers. That being said, some of what I talk about can be considered spoilerish, so be forewarned that if you desire to go into this thing spoiler-free, you may henceforth find yourself vexed. Flag is back. There are some questions, like why is Flag still working with Waller? Is his relationship with Dr. Moon over? Enchantress is no more, so you would think these two would have run away together. It's not hard to buy Waller having some leverage on Flag, or perhaps luring him back with some appeal to duty. A means justifies the ends type of proposition. Still, it would be nice to have gotten some indication. This isn't an inherent flaw of the film, it's continuity from a flick Gunn had nothing to do with. And no, this isn't a reboot. Task Force X is fully deployed and its roster has grown. Many members do not know each other till they are in battle side by side, and the missions are always on a need to know. One gets the sense the project has been successful and Waller controls every detail of it. Despite Flag's motivations being unaddressed and out of character progression, he remains interesting as an action hero with a sense of duty and also an overriding conscience and hero's heart. Bloodsport is a character that seems a bit derivative of Deadshot. In fact, you would be forgiven for assuming the role had been recast. I am unfamiliar with his comic book incarnation. I'm not even sure there is one. However, the character distinguishes himself by way of personality, and he feels more interesting as a subject than his predecessor. His chemistry works. This is due in no small part to Idris Elba's talent and charm. One weak spot is his relationship with Flag. They work on screen, but the movie makes it clear these men are friends, with mutual respect. It feels like this point, which comes up in conversation several times, was meant to carry more weight, but it doesn't. This is a small script issue. Or perhaps that relationship just ended up on the cutting room floor. Harley Quinn. Well, she's Harley. Even in a not-so-great flick, she's entertaining and mesmerizing to watch. This is the best film she's taken part in, and she's right at home in it. She and Flag know each other, a good thread of continuity from the original flick. Unlike with Flag, her character is grounded in the events of previous flicks. She is a post-emancipation Harley, an anti-hero with a zeal for killing, but one that's tempered by a code and a legit desire to do what feels like the right thing, even if her logic is at times skewed. That being said, her reasoning is also spot on when it needs to be. Her heart is in the right place, even if it's dark and scarred. Margot Robbie is just amazing in the role. Her fans will definitely appreciate what she brings to this incarnation of the Suicide Squad. Peacemaker is basically a chaotic good character with an overdeveloped sense of patriotism. However, the film suggests he is really a psychopath who justifies his tendencies by attaching them to what he perceives as a worthy cause. Cena is funny in the role, and his interactions with Bloodsport are gold. He is often at odds with the code and ideology of other characters, but manages to fit in well when their aims are aligned. Ratcatcher. She is much of the heart in this film, and an absolutely endearing character with a great deal of charm. The film develops her to just the right degree, as she feels perfectly balanced. Her interactions with everyone are entertaining and warm, often poignant. Her best moments are with Bloodsport and King Shark. Her pet rat is adorable and manages to exhibit a great deal of personality whenever on screen. You may wonder at first how her powers are going to play into the dynamics of the squad. Will she have a significant part to play in the film's progression? It suffices to say, yes, on both counts. King Shark is so much fun. Imagine a child, alone and driven to survive, but one that has not lost his sense of wonder. Now imagine this child also happens to be a powerful, id-driven descendant of an ancient shark god. It's as crazy as it sounds, and it works. Yes, he has some absolutely horrifically violent scenes. His relationship with Ratcatcher is rather sweet, as she recognizes the good within the monster. Polka Dot Man is one of those characters that is best in small bits, and he is peppered in throughout. We get a good sense of who he is and a basic understanding of his constant pain. Joining the Suicide Squad was likely not something he struggled with. His powers are formidable, but he really can't do anything Bloodsport, Flag, or Peacemaker cannot do better and with more precision, given the right weaponry, of course. What he adds to this film is some good comedic timing and that awkward vibe at just the right moment. It's as if that dark-hearted goth kid you went to high school with grew up, but he was cursed with flamboyant polka dot powers. There's more to it, but that is not an inaccurate description. Villains. We get a bunch here, and yet none leave you feeling unclear as to their motivations or the limit of their sinister intentions. Waller can be considered a villain in any Suicide Squad story. Sure, she is defending the country, but there is a reason why she attracts the loyalty of someone like Peacemaker. Viola is awesome in this role. The evil military leader and Presidente are the most underdeveloped, but still manage to brim over with personality. It helps create the illusion that you know them better than you do. Their interactions with Harley lead to some moments of pure and beautiful carnage. They are also why this particular suicide mission has to take place at this particular time. The Thinker is every mad scientist if they were also sadistic perverts. So, yeah, basically a mad scientist. He's evil in the way Nazis are evil. His presence and some key dialogue is all you have to know in terms of how he fits into the film's over arc, which deals, of all things, with Starro the Conqueror. That is right. Not only does this film have military cannon fodder headed by psychos with distinct personalities and anti American ideology, not only is there a sadistic mad scientist, but also a giant space alien kaiju as well. A kaiju with a personality that manages to garner sympathy, yet be terrifying, all the while, by its very nature, exuding batshit crazy story dynamics. How the hell does such a crazy character work? James Gunn is a good writer who knows how to bring forth his ideas visually with nuance and subtext, giving you just enough to go on while not slowing down the pacing. He was the perfect person to tackle something like Starro. The story is just enough to justify the crazy action and wild characters. The emotional touchstones are surprisingly poignant and often heartwarming. You actually care about the characters, but don't get too attached. The flick is called The Suicide Squad, and not everyone's gonna make it. So, what is the bottom line here? This is a fun action adventure flick with science fiction elements and a good bit of heart. It's a hard R, and for such a flick, this rating is warranted, rather than being an attempt at edginess. The mix of shocking violence, humor, stylistic bravado yields an enjoyable time at the movies. It is highly recommended you view this on a big theater screen with excellent sound. I actually hate scoring films. My score tends to fluctuate by one, up or down, as time goes by. Also, what is that rating, comparatively speaking? So, I try to judge a film within genre. As such, Suicide Squad is an 8.5 for me. It's not a 10, but a 9 would be justifiable. By its very nature, it's not going to be for everyone, so an 8 is not out of the ballpark. It's understandable if someone went with a 7, but I can't imagine anyone going lower than that, lest they are predisposed to not enjoying the elements being showcased. With all this in mind, I split the difference and feel an 8.5 is this flick's most warranted rating. It's definitely a recommend. Alright, and that does it for Gabe's Filmcast. If you would like to see the channel grow, hit like and subscribe. Commenting helps. Do that. Cronus Network is currently just me, so growth is imperative should I wish to be timely and build a film and geekery community with folk like you. Thank you for watching.